Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call to order the May 28th session or board meeting of the Costa Mesa Sanitary District and ask you all to rise and join me in saluting the flag and remembering those that we commemorate yesterday for Memorial Day. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Vice President Schaefer.
Oh, you're good. You all stayed standing. Okay. Dear Lord, bless all our board and general managers, staff, and the one in the audience. And we have present, we pray that our meeting goes well and that everything is well with all of us. And with that, amen.
Thank you. Okay, Madam Clerk, a roll call, please.
Dr. Brett Eccles, Vice Secretary Robert Uten,
Here.
Secretary Arthur Perry,
Here.
Vice President Arlene Schaefer, here, President Mike Schaefer.
Here, thank you. Director Eccles is excused. I guess when your kid gets married in Carolina or wherever it is, you should be able to go to that. But wish him well and safe travels. Excuse me. Any late communications?
No, Mr. President.
Any ceremonial matters this evening? Thank you. Public comments? Anyone from the public wishing to make comments on items not on the agenda? Seeing no one, we will go to the consent calendar. Any items to be pulled by staff or directors? I'll move for approval. Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries 4-0 with one absence. All right, takes us to no public hearings this evening. So Scott, we'll go right into item E1.
Thank you, Mr. President. Lou Tran, our senior accountant, will be giving us a report.
Good evening.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. President and member of the board. I will present the third quarter budget analysis for the solid waste and wastewater fund operating budget for fiscal year 23-24. The amended budget for solid waste is $7,418,109. As of March 31st, 64%.
I think you're off on your microphone, Lou.
It's on.
Oh, there we go. Sorry.
It's okay.
Gotta be closer.
We'll see. As of March 31st, 64% of this budget has been expended. Staff anticipate a saving of $42,000 in the personnel account by the fiscal year end, primarily due to vacancy in the facility maintenance worker position and unused part-time and board salary funds. The maintenance and operation expenses are projected to be under budget by $96,000. Significant saving come from professional services, legal services, and recycling disposal accounts. The wastewater fund has an amended budget of $6,103,978, excluding capital improvement projects. As of March 31st, 59% of this budget has been expended. Staff is anticipating a saving of $230,000 in the personnel account due to the unused board salary and 4 vacant positions in the wastewater fund sometime during the fiscal year. The maintenance and operation expenses are projected to be under budget by $203,000. Significant saving come from legal services, engineering services, and GIS maintenance accounts. Based on the expenditure analysis, the solid waste is expected to save $138,000, while the wastewater fund is projected to save $433,000 by June 30th. Staff plans to use these savings for projects and items initially excluded from the budget, such as painting the HQ, acquiring a Trimble device, purchasing backup laptops, installing a solar photovoltaic system battery storage at HQ, and covering salary and benefits as suggested by the Classic Comp study. For the revenue analysis, the district has received about 65% of its annual revenue from solid waste and wastewater assessment charges. The district will receive the remaining apportionment in April. This concludes my presentation. For more detail, please refer to the attachment, and I'm happy to answer any question you may have.
Thank you, Lou. Questions, Bob?
Well, yeah, I just had one comment. Somewhere in the agenda report, it said, we're saving a certain amount in each of the solid waste and the wastewater budgets. And then, and staff put in there a comment that said, we intend to use the savings for items that were deleted from the budget. And I guess that caught my attention. So how will staff come back and ask, does staff need to come back and ask for approval of those items? Or are they small enough that the general manager can just approve them? I see the general manager's got an answer.
If the item is over $125,000, then yes, we would bring it back to the board for approval. But if it's less than $125,000, I believe it's in my discretion to
Yeah.
approve it. And I'll give you one example. We are ready to go out to bid this week to repaint this building. So we're going to use the balance, fund balance to pay for that expense.
Is
Okay.
that the outside of the building?
Yes, the exterior part of the building, yes, correct.
What's that total? Remember? What was the bid?
It's probably about $100,000 to repaint it, yeah. So, but again, if it's over 125, we'll bring it back to the board for approval. And even in my weekly update reports, I still want to let the board know what it will cost if it's less than 125,000.
Is this, oh, this is receive and file?
Just to receive and file. Great. Okay,
Second.
we will receive and file. Thank you very much for your thorough report.
Thank you.
Item 2, Scott.
Thank you, Mr. President. Caitlin Tran, our finance manager, will be giving this report.
Good evening, Madam Finance Director.
Good evening, Mr. President and members of the board. In preparation of the start of the fiscal year 2023-24 audit, the auditors have issued an auditor engagement letter disclosing their responsibility under the U.S. Generally Accepted Auditing Standard, the Government Auditing Standards, and the State Controller's Minimum Audit Requirements for California Special Districts. The preliminary audit will be scheduled by the end of June, and the final audit will be scheduled for early October. And the financial statements will be issued toward the end of this calendar year. Staff recommends that the Board of Directors accept the auditor's engagement letter for fiscal year 2023-24 audit and authorize President Schaefer to sign the engagement letter on behalf of CMSD.
What
Need a
ye-
motion on that?
Questions first. What year are we with them?
Third,
So you generally look at it after 5?
Usually.
contract for 3, and then the year 4th and 5, if we want to extend, then we extend. If not, we can go out
And
for bid.
It doesn't look like their fee increased either, does it?
No, it's been
That's
15,000.
what I-
with
Is
the
that built into the full contract, or do they have an option of asking for a change yearly?
It's built into the contract, and I believe, if we extend the next 2 years, then it's also 15,000.
They should be reasonably familiar with the districts now.
Yeah, we've used them in years past also. No?
Well, 2 years ago,
Yeah, okay.
so this is the 3rd year.
How long has they been?
So this is the 3rd year, she said.
Oh, that's.
Mike's referring to
Oh.
previously, like 10 years ago, did we use them 10 years ago?
No.
This is a new.
I know SDRMA just contracted with them as well, so. Okay. The action is to approve the agreement,
Yeah, the engagement letter.
the engagement, I'm sorry.
I'll move that, and that's for Mike to sign it, is that correct?
Yes.
Second.
We have a motion, a second discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with 1 absence. Okay. Moving right along, item 3.
Thank you, Mr. President. Marissa Pereira, our management analyst two, will be giving this report.
Good evening, President and members of the board. This item is a consideration of CR&R's annual rate adjustment request. So per the First Amendment to the agreement, CR&R can request a consumer price index or CPI adjustment every year with the adjustment capped at 5% per year. For fiscal year 24-25, CR&R is requesting a 3.1% adjustment to the rates. The district currently pays CR&R three fees: the hauler or occupancy fee, the recycling disposal processing fee, and the organics fee. The proposed rates with the 3.1% increase are included in the staff report. If approved, the rates would be effective July 1, 2024. And something to note is that per the 2023 First Amendment, the rate structure will be adjusted prior to the implementation of the three-cart system in October. So staff,
Can you say that again?
yes, so per the amendment, the First Amendment to the agreement, the rate structure will be adjusted prior to the implementation of the three-cart system. So staff will be coming back with an amendment with that new rate structure prior to the three-cart implementation.
But would that be in October? Or when would that come back to us?
The rollout will start in October, so we would come back before. I don't have a meeting date yet, but it will be before that, before we're ready for that.
All three of these different items is all the same 3.1%?
The three that are presented tonight are all 3.1%, yes.
The staff report says that we're bringing it back to the study session for approval.
Yes.
Why are we doing it at the study session and not the board meeting in June?
I believe it was, well, Scott, do you want to answer?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question again?
So you're asking for us to consider, we're considering it tonight to bring back to the study session in June for approval or disapproval?
Yes, if you want to approve it tonight, you can. There's a quorum tonight, you can approve it tonight. We just made this recommendation so that the full board can have an opportunity to discuss, but because there's a quorum tonight, you can vote on approving it tonight if you want to.
Well, I think my question was, why aren't we bringing it to the June board meeting?
Again, it was just an opportunity for answer questions. There's no harm of reviewing it now. So when we do bring it for a vote, we've already had that discussion, makes the meeting run a little more efficient. But totally up to you.
I'm sorry, Marissa, go ahead if you're.
That pretty much wrapped it up. We're just here for feedback, comments, and then staff and Mike Carey with CR&R are here if you have any questions.
Let's put Mr. Carey on the hot seat.
Already on the hot seat.
So you guys use the same CPI geography, demographic, or whatever they call it, the Long Beach, LA, Anaheim, I think it is, or whatever.
Correct.
What's your biggest increase on those three topics? Where's your biggest hit?
Our biggest hit is labor and fuel.
How come I knew that
trucking.
that's what you were gonna say?
It's my personal one as well.
Your personal what?
My personal challenge as well.
Yeah. It's a weird question, but I'm gonna ask, how'd you get 3.1% and not 4.4%?
It's the average of, I believe it's the average of all of the months combined that are in your staff report.
It is. It looks at a March through February 12-month period and then just averages
Averages.
each month. Takes all of the months and then averages them.
And with all due respect, I think labor is probably your biggest.
Absolutely.
And if you watch TV for 10 minutes, you know, you can see what the price of groceries and McDonald's and everybody else is doing. So
We're trying to remain competitive within the market of our competitors as well and try to keep long-term drivers.
and this, I don't think you can answer this question, but from the sense of the industry, is all the others asking, or are they going for keeping it at 3? Do you know?
I don't know if they're keeping it at 3, but everybody typically annually asks for the CPI increases. Matter of fact, it's usually built in automatically into the contracts.
I was at the SWANA Symposium last week in Palm Springs, and I tried to see if I could get anything about increases, and of course, they're not gonna talk about it at a industry symposium, and so I'm just curious if 3% is across, if everybody's kind of in the same boat.
It was higher last year through our amendment. We've capped it at, the maximum we could ask for would be 5%, even if the rate would be higher than that. So we would respectfully request that you approve the 3.1
Pretty happy.
this evening.
Could be a lot higher.
Could be a lot.
Could be a lot higher.
I'll make a motion that we accept the 3.1.
Yeah.
Bob, back to Bob.
Well, it's either Mike or staff. I was under the impression, well, we have a new contract with CR&R. And do those, Melissa, I believe, said that those rates go into effect October, in the October timeframe. I thought I'd asked staff, and then somebody probably in the dark coat there had said it was July. When do the new rates in the CR&R contract go into effect?
The rates that you receive, okay, so you receive their monthly invoices for their occupancy rates, their recycling rate and their hauling rate. You get that every month. That goes in effect in July. Okay, that's what we pay to CR&R. You approve, we pay it.
That's when we pay for the new rates.
Yes, yes. Now, for the residents' rates, what we're talking about is the residential rate, what the residents pay for the assessment fees, right? That is going to be prorated because the new service doesn't start till October.
Oh, okay, so that was what Melissa was.
Correct.
Yeah, so this will just apply to the current rate structure starting July 1. So these 3 fees that we pay, and then the new structure to include the recycling costs, and then the new customer rate will be down, the new customer rate will be July 1 also, but it'll be presented before the 3-cart system starts, the new structure that includes the recycling component.
So will you be working with CR&R to look at that rate before October? I mean,
So we did discuss that. That was built into the rate study, that proposed rate. But yes, we'll make that official in an amendment and then bring that to you.
The budget analysis we did earlier, still included 5%. Because we had budgeted that originally, right? So when we do the next budget assessment, if we approve this 3%, you'll have some indication that we only use 3%, right?
I think the budget will be conservative.
Yeah,
And
that's what he's
and
talking
it should be at 5% because it could be up to 5%.
Right. Right.
We're talking about fiscal year 24-25.
Right.
For this rate, and the budget that Lou just presented, that's for current fiscal year, the savings right now. So
Yeah,
that's what it is.
thank you for that. That's a good clarification. So, okay. Do you want to restate your motion?
I would like to approve the 3.1% increase now as a fixed amount until the October fees come in. Okay.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. So in essence, we're gonna, rather than bring it back, we're gonna approve it this evening. That's what you're at. Okay, any other discussion on that? Then I'll ask for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with 1 absence. Thank you, Mr. Carey. Okay, you guys have we don't need to tell you what to do. You already know what to do. Okay. Item 4.
Thank you, Mr. President. So this year is election time for the California Special District Associations. For the Southern Network, seat A is up for election. And as you know, Vice President Schaefer is a board member that's serving on the Southern Network, but she's on seat C. So this is seat A on the Southern Network. There are 3 candidates that are vying for seat A, and those candidates' names and the districts they represent are on your staff report. Staff is seeking direction from the board on which candidate they want to cast their vote in favor of and direct the general manager to cast the vote on the board's behalf.
Would be doing the vote.
Yes.
That comes from the general manager. I'd say.
From your direction, you tell me which candidate you want to vote for.
I'm
And you
familiar
just-
with Joe McKenzie. She's been on the board for a long time. I think she's been a very good board member, so.
Yes, I don't know the other two. I think we just know Joe the best.
Okay.
That's who I would vote for.
Anybody want to make a motion for that?
So moved.
Okay.
Make the motion.
For Joe?
Mhm.
Dave, second?
I'll second.
Okay, then, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with 1 absence. So you take care of that one. Very good. Item 5, for LAFCO.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So another elections are open. That's for Orange County LAFCO, the Local Agency Formation Commission. And this is the seat for the special district member seat. In your staff report, you'll see Jim Fissler, director for the Mesa Water District, who's also the incumbent on OC LAFCO, is running again for this seat. There was another candidate running against him, Mr. Joe Mueller, director for South Coast Water District, but he withdrew his name, and a letter of his intention of withdrawing is in your staff report. So that really only leaves for Director Fissler as the only nominee for the open special district seat. So staff is seeking your directions. Do you want to direct President Schaefer to vote for Director Fissler? And if so, then we need directions so we can cast a vote.
I'd like to make the motion that we vote for Mesa Water District Jim Fissler, and that a letter of congratulation under our board president's signature be sent to him.
I'll second that.
Just quick discussion. It was interesting that Mr. Mueller ran because there was this sentiment to get representation from South County on LAFCO. Remember, we talked
Yeah.
about that. And his exit was kind of unexpected, but yeah, that's fine. So the motion to vote for Jim Fissler for the regular district, special district member of LAFCO. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And the motion was also for under your name, a letter.
Oh.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
To him.
That's not a problem. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with 1 absence. All right. Engineers report, anything, or I'm sorry, Scott, anything else?
No, that's it, Mr. President.
Engineers report.
Honorable Board, good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak this evening, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have, whether it's my report or the subsequent to requests for action. Just one thing on my report is that the Eldon Emergency Bypass is in substantial completion. I've got an item before you this evening. And then as soon as they finish up all the submittals and all the last minute stuff they need to do, I'll probably come before you next month with a notice of completion on that particular project. That concludes my report, unless you have any questions that I could answer for you.
Questions from, go ahead, Bob.
Mark, the Geisler Force Main, is it the Iowa Force Main or the Geisler Force Main, that little pump station down at the end of Iowa? And-
Yeah, Iowa, at the corner of Iowa and Geisler, down by the riverbed and the golf course there, that is the Geisler pump station right
Yeah.
there. Were you talking about Iowa, which is
No, no.
next to the hotel and by the elementary
ball
school?
field.
No, I'm
middle
talking about
school,
the first one.
yeah. Okay.
Would that be a good time, could using the new devices, the rollout things that we have for the Eldon Force Main, or emergency emergency processes. Could one of those be used and maybe that force main be lined rather than replaced?
Perhaps.
I mean, rather than, then that'd save a lot of digging, whatever.
Yeah, perhaps I'll have to take a closer look. I'll work with, I've put the project on hold because it would, as you recall, it's going to take about $1 million to build that force main. And so I never thought about lining it. And so I'll have to take a look at the life cycle cost associated with lining the force main and
Yeah.
compare that to the life cycle cost of installing a new force main. Because as you know, one, especially the materials that we selected, if we were to completely replace it, it'd probably last 60 years or more, 70
Sure.
years. A liner probably goes about 30, maybe
Yeah.
35 years. So I'll have to take a look at those
Okay,
costs
that's just a thought,
and
but
happy, well, but appreciate the suggestions. When we get the project restarted, we'll start a little early and we'll take a look at that.
I'm gonna ask this question now because you're kind of at the beginning. There was a power outage on Saturday in my neighborhood.
Hmm?
And of course, the illustrious California Street pump station sits on my property. Well, it's kind of.
Yeah, right next door
Yeah,
in the sidewalk.
but no generator was sent. Do you know why?
A lot of these little pump stations, we've got several hours worth of time before
Okay.
something happens. I don't know. I was out of town. I don't know what the outage was or how long it lasted. I did get a couple of texts from California, but I typically over the weekends and holidays, unless staff calls me or my general manager calls me, I don't try to stick
Okay.
my nose in their business. But
This was,
I'm assuming everything went well.
this was a weird outage because we were gone, but got home right at dark and lights were on. And I talked to a couple of my neighbors. It started like middle of the afternoon or right afternoon. And I kept getting texts from Edison saying, you're going to be restored at 11 o'clock. But my neighbors were saying it was like they had like 60% of their powers. Some things were on and some things were off.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking to my staff this morning. They said the pump station was off for a minimal amount of time. So it came on pretty quickly, and that's part of that 60% you're talking about. Yeah, that's why it came on quick, back
Okay.
on quick. So
I'm gonna say at the voltage that your house uses, they lost one of the legs, and so what happens is only half of your plugs probably worked and half of your appliances worked, but the other half worked. Because I can't remember if we're buying at 480 or 240 volt, but we're buying power at a
Yeah.
different level than you guys are buying power at. So things work a little differently for our pump stations.
I think the last time we had a major outage in that corner of Costa Mesa was because squirrels got into to the box or whatever and ate the transformer and ate all the wires. Squirrels. Anyway, sure.
Did our staff go out there to check that?
No.
what they do is they could check SCADA on the cloud base to see if the water's rising. Typically they'll wait a few minutes to see if the power comes back on really quick. Then if it doesn't and they start seeing the water rising, then they're gonna respond. But at that last night, I don't believe they did respond.
If the water rises too much, the resident there will let you know. Okay, item 2 for you, Mark.
Okay. I'm going to be asking you to adopt CEQA on a particular project that we bid. And then I'm also going to make a recommendation for you to award a contract to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, and then to approve a 10% contract. As you recall, the West Bluff Pump Station, it's located, I guess I'll say the southwesterly portion or of our service area. And the project consists of mechanically rehabilitating the West Bluff Pump Station and relocating the existing electrical panel so that we can come into compliance with the latest National Fire and Protection Agency, Regulation 7, the National Electric Code, and get us in compliance with all the fire codes as well. So we received 5 bids on April 24th, and the bids range from a low of $338,820 to $399,424. Vicon Enterprise Incorporated was the low bid, and the engineer's estimate was $325,000. As you may recall, we were before this board last September, and we were directed to rebid this project, which we have, and this is the result from the rebid. So with that, I will request 3 items from our board. Number 1, that you adopt project 330 West Bluff Pump Station Rehabilitation Rebid Project is categorically exempt for California's Environmental Quality Act, Section 15302, Class Number 2. That would be the first thing that you would do. The second 2 items could also then go together, would be award a contract to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, Vicon Enterprise Incorporated, in the amount of $338,820, and approve a 10% contingency in the amount of $33,882. That concludes my report. Are there any questions?
Remind me why we were, or us, why we rejected GCI's bid back previous?
Because we had only had 2 bidders, both bids were above significantly above what we had estimated the cost. And I went to, per ordinance, one bidder dropped out, and so we went to GCI and we negotiated a price, and the board of directors decided, since I negotiated the price and there's essentially one bid for the project, you had asked me to reject the bid, and which we did, and rebid the project. So we upgraded the specs and the scope of work, and these are the prices for that upgraded or revised scope of work.
This bid higher than the original one?
Oh, yeah, the last bid was, or the negotiated price was $296,000 and some change, almost $297,000.
Upgrades important to raise the price like that?
These bids are based on exactly the same scope of work that I negotiated.
Inflation bug is,
Well, there are 3 or 4 things. Inflation is one. The electrical contractor wanted this project, and there's quite a bit of electrical work on it. And GCI really enjoys doing work with us, and so they basically took out all the profit on that particular project because they wanted to get the work done.
I don't remember ever using Vicon. Have we?
This is my first time with Vicon. I believe it's our agency's first time with Vicon Enterprises Incorporated.
You're still comfortable with them?
They're responsive and responsible. They have the appropriate licenses, bonding, insurances, everything looks good. From the Public Works perspective, we should go forward with Vicon Enterprises Incorporated.
I'll move all 3 items.
I'll second it.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with 1 absence.
Thank
Okay.
you very much.
Thank you.
My last item has to do with Project 343 Eldon Force Main Bypass Improvement Project, specifically to deal with some change orders. The project generally consists of rebuilding or replacing, I should say, the emergency bypass on the Eldon Force Main to accommodate 2 12-inch lay-flat bypass hose and replacing one of the hatches that was cast iron and was severely corroded and ready to fall in the roadway. So we bid that work and started doing the work. During the project work, 3 unknown conditions came to light. The first 2 were totaled about $14,466 and some change. And we're well within the $20,400 approved by the, contingency approved by the board of directors. Unfortunately, there was a third unknown condition that when we started digging in the roadway, we had to remove a piece of pipe that had been abandoned from one of our previous projects. And when we opened it, lo and behold, when we opened up the street and got dug down to that pipeline, at some point, don't know who or what or where, had poured concrete around that pipeline, and it was very hard concrete. And to remove it, we had to jackhammer for almost 2 days, I think it was, the concrete before we could even get to and remove the pipeline that was required to be removed from by contract. And we had to remove it in order to install the improvements for the project. So much of that was T&M, and I had our inspector out there I don't want to say 24 hours a day, but pretty darn close to 24 hours a day, keeping track of staff on site, trucks on and off, and all of that. And the change order number 3 in the amount of almost $14,000 created a condition where we exceeded the contingency authorized board of the directors by a little over $8,000. So I'm here today for policy and by delegation to request that you approve change order number 3 in the amount of, well, let me go back and say, change order number 1 had to do with when we thought the pipeline, the 18-inch pipeline that serves our current pump station, ran parallel to Mesa to the Godwin Emergency Bypass Pump Building, and then went into that building and tied into that pump. It did not. It went at a 45-degree angle, and my concern when we started excavating, in order to put a T and tap off into that, we would have had to dig extremely close to the existing power pole. And so as a result of the record drawings being incorrect, I requested a change order so that we had to relocate that to a different location. Change order number 2 was when we dug down to replace a T-fitting that we found. That particular fitting looked severely corroded, and so I requested the services of a corrosion engineer, and I hired a consultant to come out and do some analysis on that particular fitting to make sure that it was could be used going forward. And it turned out after we did some corrosion testing, some metal thicknesses, and it looked like it was okay. But because it was severely corroded and would continue to corrode, I requested GCI, the contractor, to go ahead and put protective coating on it, to reapply protective coating. And that was about little over $1,100. And so when you added the third change order, which I told you about the concrete around the pipe in the roadway, it put me over the 10,000 or 10% contingency they approved. So all of the change orders total $28,422.83, which is about $8,022.83 about above what you authorized me to spend if I had some unknown situations. And I will need another $8,022.83 to pay for this last change order. So as a result, I am requesting approval of project 343 Eldon Force Main Bypass Improvement Project change order number 3 in the amount of $13,956. That concludes my report. Are there any questions?
I just wanted to say that I approve the change order on number 3 as stated in the staff report.
Okay,
I'll second.
thank you. Any other discussion? What kind of, how much concrete was down there?
A lot. I even took our general manager out and showed him what we were doing to remove, and it was very hard. Not only was it a lot of concrete, it was hard concrete.
It'd been there for a while.
It'd been there for a while. I don't know why whoever used it must have got a deal on really, really high strength concrete and used that instead of normal, 3,000 or 2,500,
That was
2,800
before the
PSI.
days of the guy on TV that uses the tape that makes the water stop, right? He could have done that instead. That's crazy. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with one absence.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, I see we're due for an investment report, but I don't see the. I was just gonna ask if Mark was on Zoom. There he is.
Yep. Thanks, Mr. President, board members. Yeah, I needed to be remote today, so sorry I could not be there with you all in person. But this is your quarterly review of your investment portfolio. Looking at the markets today, the Dow closed at 38,853, which was down 217 on the day. Still year to date, the Dow is up 1,287 or 3.4%. Been kind of rocky over the last few days, weeks, actually, last week or so, based on uncertainty regarding inflation. There's been no change in the Fed funds rate. It has remained unchanged since July of last year, and it's currently between 5.25%, 5.5%. The one key component in all of this is inflation. April inflation was at 3.4%, which is trending up. Again, it was up January, we were at 3.1. March, it was at 3.5. So it's ticked down just a little bit from March, but still up for the beginning of the year. And the Fed wants to see that down closer to 2% before we start seeing cuts in interest rates. As for your portfolio is earning 2.913% as of April 30th. Which is up about 85 basis points since the beginning of the fiscal year. And really what's driving that in your portfolio is our duration of the portfolio. The length we have investments out has shortened up. When we received our second distribution of our annual charge in April, all those funds went into LAIF and went into class, and both of those are earning more than we're earning right now, and so that's what's driving their portfolio up. We've had no investment activity during April. And as far as class goes, just a quick update on that. We now have $4.5 million invested with class. They have reached the $1.6 billion amount under investment. And when you elected to go with them last October, there was $156 million on deposit. So they've gained over $1 billion since you've joined them. The daily rate on class is 5.40%, and the 30-day rate is 5.39%. At our last quarterly discussion, there was a question from the board as to what's really making up who's really participating in class. And so I reached out to get that information from them. And so the largest participants are special districts. There's 127 special districts in class. This information is just a little outdated. It was in April, so it may very well have changed since then. But when we did reach out, there were 127 special districts in class, and they accounted for 55% of their total deposits. There were 21 cities, which accounted for 38% of the deposits, 9 JPAs, which accounted for 7%, and 3 counties, which accounted for less than 1% of the total amount on deposit. That's all I have for you today. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. This is an action item, so when we're done, we'll need you to consider approving the investment report.
Mark, when does the presidential circus start affecting things for us, or will it?
That's a great question. I would suspect that once we start seeing debates happen, that we might start seeing some craziness enter into the markets.
And when you say craziness, it could be good crazy or bad crazy, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Volatility. I guess the better word is volatility.
Well said.
I have a curious question. Is the city of Costa Mesa vested with class? Or do you know?
I don't think so.
I do know. If you give me just one quick second, I can tell you.
There are 20 cities, so.
Are you asking Alexis?
No, no, no. I'm looking at what I'm looking for what they had sent me.
Asking Wendy.
Just bear with me just a quick second.
Wendy.
Actually, I don't see that information right now. I can certainly get back to you on that. Oh, wait a second. I just found it. I just found it.
Just
So-
curious,
You
curious.
just found it.
No, the city of Costa Mesa is not participating.
Will they accept individual donations to class?
If you qualify for one of their member participants, absolutely.
I could use 5%, no problem at all. Okay, thank you, Mark. Any other discussion for Mark? Any questions? Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve. Other discussion? All those,
I was just wondering, why was this report for the end of March and not necessarily for the end of April?
This report was for the end of April. You had approved the March report on the consent calendar. You had 2 months this
Yes, okay.
meeting, because last meeting there was nothing. At the time the agenda reports were due, I was out of country and not able to submit investment report last month.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I misread.
Okay,
Somewhere I thought it was March.
all those-
Well, no, the investment report is, well, no, it says April, but I thought when I looked up the investment report, it said as of the end of March, but I'll check that out.
There is one as of the end of March. It's on the consent calendar.
Oh, that's the one I looked at.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with one absence. And as always, Mr. Davis, thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay, Counselor, anything for us this evening?
Hi, good evening. My name is Alexandra Halfman and I am with Alan Burns' office. So I just wanted to say hi to everyone and that it is so nice to meet you. I don't have any formal comments from our office, but I just want to say hi.
Well, hi, welcome to our meeting.
I have a question for staff and or the counselor.
Go for it.
And that is on remote meeting attendance for directors. And I think Scott, you said that there had to be extenuating circumstances for that to occur. I monitor the Orange County Water District meetings, and I would say half of their directors are always on Zoom. And I can't, and I don't know if it's whether their founding legislation is different or.
Or they had a legitimate reason to be on Zoom. And so like, particularly just really two reasons I think you can be on a board meeting for Zoom you have like a medical condition and you can't physically attend the meeting. That's one option. And I forget the second one to be honest, Tommy, but it's very.
If you're traveling in relation
Yes,
to the
thank you.
office.
Yes, thank you. And that's pretty much it, really.
Well,
So,
But you know what?
But half of their directors generally are on
Well-
Zoom, and I don't think they have any of that.
and I would talk to the district council. This is the advice from our district council. So
Okay.
I would talk to OC Sands
Yeah.
district council.
I mean,
He's talking about the water district, right? Which kind of-
Orange County Water District, yeah.
So I'll just tell you, under the Brown Act for remote appearances, you can do it remote, but you have to, it's really weird. You have to agendize it and post it at the location that you're at. So I'll just give you an example. We had a Fountain Valley City Council member. He's away, business, in a hotel room.
Sure.
So they posted a public room at the hotel with the agenda and he zoomed from there. But the intent is basically like the members of the public have to be able to come access you
Yes.
in that room. What you're describing though to me is very weird that they would have so many people absent. I don't know if there's a different rule for special districts, but just under the generic Brown Act, that's the procedure that they put for remote
Yeah.
appearances. If-
I know, I sit on the Orange County Council of Governments Board, and we have quite a few people that Zoom in just because it's easier to
It's
Zoom.
easier, yeah.
But unless their address is printed on the agenda, they can't vote, they can't participate.
Correct. It's weird.
This rule is being used, you know, I've got a headache, so I won't be, I mean, this thing's being abused and I'm not sure abused is the right term,
Well,
but
I'm trying to figure out whether it's abuse or I think it's just convenience for these directors. You know,
it is. I agree with you, Bob.
You know, I've been in Michigan and I've done that where I posted the agenda on the door and opened the door. Um, that's silly, but
But this new law came into effect this year, didn't it?
Yeah, it came out of COVID. So,
Yeah.
to me, it is very strange. I just think the way that it works is really weird, but we do have people that use it, but usually they have a good reason for it and they're not doing it. It's like they have to do it. So, and they still want to participate in the meeting. So they go through the weird procedure to do that. That's just shocking to me that you would have that many people missing voluntarily, because since it is such a wonky procedure, no one really actually wants to do that. They'd rather be here in person.
You know, it's funny, the irony of it is, and even I think statistics show that when everything was Zoom, participation was, you know, out the roof. I mean, everybody was coming to meetings because they could be in their pajamas and
Yeah.
sitting in the garage or whatever. Right? So,
But is this only in your case? You know,
no,
because I have it, you know, I sit on the board
right.
at CSDA. And, you
But-
know, I get to vote, I get to say what I want,
Well,
and I'm on several other.
that's because your address is probably posted on the agenda. You'd have to check that to see.
But but you, CSDA, you're not elected by the CSDA to tender, you're appointed, so it's different.
So, no, it's still the
You
same
sure?
Brown.
You sure?
With SDRMA,
No,
I see.
About, because she's not an official voting, I mean, she's a voting member, but she's not elected to that position. She's chosen to be in that position.
No, I'm
You know,
elected.
that's different than, I mean, that's how I look at it.
No,
It really isn't.
We can't do it because we're elected officials.
But like I'm elected to the SDRMA Board of
yeah, and
Directors
I'm elected to mine.
by public agencies.
Yeah.
So we have the same Brown Act requirements.
Just that-
well, it's just interesting because every meeting that I've attended, either on Zoom or not, half of the directors are not there. Yeah,
Yeah, see if you can get a little investigation going there, Bobby.
well, I just did.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're starting it.
Okay, now, Scott, question, okay, so this new law is in effect just for 1 year, is that correct?
No, it's still in effect. I don't know if it has like a sunset clause that fades it out, but as far as I know, that's the rule. That's what you do if you want to appear remotely. And I haven't heard anything about it being repealed or changed.
The first iterations, governor had put a sunset,
Yeah, he-
remember, on it.
One
And I
year.
think now there is no sunset on it. I think it's just the law now.
That's what I was referring
Yeah.
to, because I
Yeah.
remember it was for 1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah, as far as I know, that's still the practice, as far as I know.
Forget, this is California
Yeah.
and everything's done differently in California. So, question. Well, welcome. We hope to see you again.
Me too.
Tell Alan to stay home and you can come.
Yeah, I will. I'll tell him that's what you guys said.
That's,
No, just tell him to go on vacation.
Yeah.
Is he on vacation now?
No, he had a conflict with Home Garden Sanitary District, and it must be something funky because he usually is here. So,
We changed our meeting date to Tuesday, that's the reason.
oh, okay.
my wife says, why are you meeting tonight? I said, did you expect us to meet yesterday? Okay, let's go to local meetings and Vice Secretary Uten, do you have a report?
Yeah, the Orange County Sand District, this is the time of year for them to elect officers and The chair had served 2 terms, and so he was moving on. So the vice chair, Ryan Gallagher, city councilman from Tustin, was elected to be the chair. And the Orange County, the Orange City council person, John Demetriou, was elected to be the vice chair. And so John was the chair of the operations committee, so I'll be the future chair of the operations committee. And I'll also be then on the steering committee. There was the big celebration before the meeting was the ribbon cutting for the new office building. It's going to house 300 people, and early in June, they'll begin to move staff in there. Many of those 300 people, or substantial number, had been in trailers throughout the area, throughout plant number 1. Basically, there lots of rehab. They had legislative updates for federal and state, and they had steering committee updates, and most of it centered around electing the new chair and vice chair. So a lot of rehab stuff going on, as you all know, even with our district. So
Thank you, sir. Art Sarfa.
Okay, so I attended a meeting last Thursday. Usually it's after a regular board meeting, but I can give you a report on it. Okay, so this is the Santa Ana River mainstream. So some good news. In 2025, the spillway will be completed and the total cost will be $1.3 billion. And money's already in effect with the Corps of Engineers, so that's going to be done. But the same mainstream is construction completion won't be until 2032. And then there's a 5-year monitoring program to close it all out. So it'll be completely finished by 31 to 36. Okay. One good news is, remember when they first started, they had like over 100 pieces of property that they had to buy behind the dam. They're down to 1 right now. And they're in negotiations right now, but they told us it's going to come about because they have eminent domain. So it's coming about, but the person that owns the property is raising their prices because they're the last one. It's going to happen.
and that's so they can raise the level.
Yeah, so they can raise the level of the
water
dam.
level line. Probably.
Right. So then and they have to have that for the 200-year flood.
Yeah.
Okay, so then move to the Santa Ana River mainstream projects, Reach 9. They're all complete in as of June 24th of this year. So that part of the river is all going to be finished. Okay, now the stats of the levee high correction, they had a Reach 5, they had to make a correction on Reach 5, and that's going to be completed in 2025 to 2026 for $276,000. So everything's coming to an end. They're down to 1 property. They started off, with 236 properties that they had acquired. So they're down to 1. They deleted a number of them because of negligible impact of 123. So that's why it helped get the number down. So that one the remaining to be acquired cost is going to be $70 million. So that's why they're going to get it, but they're going to have to pay that amount probably. To get it.
70 million for one house?
No, 1 property. The property is a large property. So it's a large, not just the house.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if he's getting 70 million for his house, can they extend Sarfa to California Street and maybe
So-
include my house?
The utility companies, this is with their estimated cost to fix all of the utilities that are in the back behind the El Prado Dam. They wanted $142 million. They're getting 0.2 because they said, no, you have to, the part of the contract was you have to take care of your own utilities. Transmission lines, they wanted 11 million, they're going to get 0. Sub-transmission lines, they wanted 98 million, they're going to get 0. They're going to have to do all this work on their own because that's the way that's the way it's panned out. Distribution analysis, waiting for the Corps to concurrence. They wanted 20 million for the utility companies. They're only going to get 0.20. In the study, they wanted 13.5 million to study the project, the utilities. They're gonna get zero, so the cores, it's not gonna cost much to finish this project. Okay, Prado Dam construction was awarded a contract in September 2018. Contract amount was 21.4 million. It's going to be completed. Phase 1 was completed in 2020. Phase 2 will be completed in 2021. So that's the Prado Dam construction for the Alcoa Dike. This is what I'm referring to, the Alcoa Dike. And that's basically it. So the good news, it's going to be finished in 2025.
So at the end of, when this is all done, do they disband the committee or?
That's what they're going to do, but the committee's also working on the Westminster East Guard Grove project.
Oh,
And right now, there's been no funding for the project from the federal government, but they just approved this last year, in May 13th, they approved $750,000 to initiate the pre-construction engineering. Once you get the pre-construction engineering paid for, they're going to be giving more money every year to finish those projects. Even though the county's done a number of projects, and they probably will get reimbursed by the state for the subvention funds. This, with getting the $750,000, is going to initiate more money in the future. So but it's going to take 20 years to do that project.
government work.
That's what it takes, because of the cost of it. It's really significant. And so those people that have insurance, they're not going to lose, they're going to have that insurance for 20 years. It's going to happen overnight.
Oh, yeah.
Like we got out of it. We got out of the flood zone. But that's the quick report.
Good. All right, moving to ISDOC. Anything from ISDOC?
ISDOC, I didn't attend a meeting, but CSDA is the next one, and I did attend that one. CSDA is moving along really exciting. They're getting all kinds of members all over the United States from different areas, and they're called the National Special Districts Coalition. And that is the one that we're having so much excitement on. Kyle is from the legislation end of CSDA. And then Neil, who is our tag guy, he's fantastic. They went to Washington, DC. And in Washington, DC, they represented California, Colorado, Arizona, Texas, Florida, Oregon, South Carolina, Utah, and Wyoming. And they held meetings at 19 Senate offices, 4 House representative offices, White House Office of Intergovernmental Affairs, State Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee majority staff, and the staff Homeland Security of Governmental Affairs for the committee minority staff, and then also the Congressional Western Caucus. I could go on and on about what they're doing, but they all came back very exhausted, needless to say. But the point is, the special districts now is known as special districts all over. And we're taking a hold of everybody to be sure that they understand and know what we go through and what they can do to become part of us.
Is this the new agency that got Congress to allow special districts, in the funding process?
That was part of it.
So anyway, we're doing very well. I won't go into rest because I'll be talking about it in ISDOC meeting too, if we ever have one again. That's it.
Okay, thank you. SDRMA, we had no meeting. We have a board meeting the end of next month, which I'll be winging up to Sacramento for. Other meetings, I will give a quick report. I attended like I said earlier, the Solid Waste Association of North America, right, Marissa? I got that right? The symposium last week. It's getting really hard to go to these meetings when you're like the oldest person there, you know?
Take me along.
I could do that. It was a really good, it was really good meeting. I mean, some of these things we go to, you walk away thinking, why did I participate? But this one, I spent a lot of time in meetings where they were talking about what different cities are doing to transition to organics, right? And it was really funny because in all of the meetings I attended in that scope, in that module, if you will, nobody talked about anaerobic digestion. Everybody does composting. That's all they talked. And they talked about, there was one segment about how they're rolling out their organics carts and things like that. I will tell you, we did it the right way. I mean, the city of Los Angeles, they did a presentation about their rollout, and I think their budget to roll out is bigger than our annual budget as a district. It was unbelievable. And they were talking about, oh, they're gonna try and put pictures on the cart of what to put in the cart. And I'm thinking, oh, we're like 4 years ahead of all these. It was really strict. But one of the most interesting meetings I went to was a talk about styles of management. And they had 3 younger people, and then 3 older people, which older was relative. And they wanted to hear what these 6 people had to say about the different styles of management and what's the most effective style of management. And I got to tell you, when I started my career, my working career, the most effective style of management was authoritative management. You did what your freaking boss told you to do.
Civil War.
It was pretty close to the Civil War. Well, you would know from the Revolutionary War. So, but when they asked all these people what kind of management they liked, and they wanted collaborative, and I'm thinking those were the bosses that usually got fired when I was younger and starting out, and I want to make a comment, but I didn't for no lack of judgment. I said the easiest way to get something done is authoritative management. If you want to get something done, go do it, There's still ways to be gentle when you do, but it was a good conference, and I'm glad I attended. Next time I'll take the old guy with me and see what he has to say. Nice hotel, the Palm Springs Hilton, if you ever want to go stay at a convenient. There's so many hotels in Palm Springs that are not convenient. This one is right across the street from Sherman's Delicatessen and next door to the casino. It was.
Oh, yeah.
Right, I know it, just off the highway.
It's right off of 111. It was very nice. So I would recommend next year taking a look at that. There were a lot of really good tracks in the holes, and Marissa, you've seen some of the stuff. So it was a good meeting. I'm glad I went.
How many days was that?
Counting the golf tournament or not? I didn't play in the golf tournament.
Just no golf.
So it was Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday morning,
Just like PFDA.
pretty much. Yeah. So, any other meetings?
No, but don't we vote on this?
We did that already.
We did it.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the.
We
one.
didn't vote for Joe, but we did it. Oh, I'm sorry. We did vote for Joe.
Don't say
We-
that.
We've directed Scott to vote for Joe.
Oh, good.
You
Okay.
can call her tonight and tell her.
Yeah,
she has our
okay.
vote. She has our vote. Any other meetings?
I've already submitted my written meetings.
Oral communications, director comments, anything from staff? Thank you all for really good presentation. One of the things that, and I'll remind our fellow board members, you guys make it easy for us to understand. I mean, all of you are doing a job that is pretty technical and can escape us sometimes, but thank you for making it understandable, at least from my perspective. So, any other oral communications?
Just that the green waste, that newsletter, that was the best.
Oh, it was really good.
That was very detailed and people could understand without calling to try to find out what's going on. Excellent.
Plus the text that we get has been really good. And I keep sharing that with everybody, get a lot of good comments back.
In the Facebook? Your Facebook presence is outstanding. I mean, it's hitting a lot of people and I know all of us should be sharing that and I think we do.
How many Facebook, I know periodically you give reports. How many Facebook, people are on our Facebook page?
Followers.
But rough estimate.
Because I've been talking to a political consultant about who can do that work for my daughter. He seems, I think he uses the Registrar of Voters database, which I thought was illegal, but he seems like he has an enormously large number. Now, her district is larger than Costa Mesa, but it just seemed like it was disproportionately, so there's a possibility that to expand that if you think it's important.
Okay, if there's nothing else, we'll adjourn to our study session. Thank you all.